Oops, a bit of a problem there. Sorry about that, chaps. I think I got a little bit excited. Oh dear. Anyway, job sorted. I think I overloaded. I think I went live twice. I think that's what the problem was. So none of them were coming through. Anyway, we're back. We're on. And it looks like you've all refreshed and you know. So that's good. Well. What's going on? So tonight we'll have a look at this idea that they're getting ready for the bail-in. And also some rather sinister murmurings about potentially allowing some serious, horrific events to take place in a primary school or primary schools across the country. Now, we have discussed before the fact that in 2009, the first sort of drill in relation to withholding the children, locking them down, are fully exposed. So it's nothing new to me. But now, of course, this is getting out and about. People are tying it into these mercenaries that have been flooding in from Afghanistan, which again is nothing new to me. George Galloway, when he was controlling Bradford many, many years ago with Respect, and then the second party that he had, I was made known at that time that what he was actually doing was covering the fact that they were importing all affiliated Afghanistan intelligence operations and people into Bradford. Now, the first thing they were doing, and this came from Muslims on the ground, is that they were killing the Muslim drug dealers in order to open up the new drug routes directly from Afghanistan, which of course is where all the opium was being grown as of the time they invaded Afghanistan. And we all know that our troops were guarding it. We all found also that the British Army was moving Taliban, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, all these affiliated terrorist organisations into areas that the militaries had just taken over. And again, we can see then, and people really need to start to take note, that all these terrorist operations are all funded and trained by the intelligence arena. Now, you know, we've got CIA. Well, CIA has always been a Jesuit operation. MI6, MI5, handed to Mossad. So Mossad, or let's say the PCI's superintelligence arena, is running everything, and as of 1940. But we know that MI5, MI6 were handed directly to Mossad under David Cameron's premiership. So no surprise there then. So we can see that all this nonsense that's been promulgated, pushed around for people to get excited about, especially all this idea that everybody must go out and protest. It's an agenda. It's part of the game. This is to keep you occupied so that you're not paying attention to what's going on in the background. You've got this digital ID that's being begun in November. You've got all these strange changes going on in the supermarkets. So I was in the Asda the other day. I said a few weeks ago that they had new gates on, but they were opening. Now they won't open until you have a receipt. You can see where it's going. Lidl now operating reductions in prices for some things if you have a Lidl Plus app. So they're all moving into this digital game as we speak, but of course they want you focused on get out on the street and shout and bawl and scream. Fine, there's nothing wrong with people wanting to do something, and that is a good thing. But since the miners' strikes, no protest that's ever happened, and that's like the massive protests that took place all across the country, especially in London, before they went into Afghanistan and Iraq, back in the days of Tony Blair and George Bush, the nut job. It didn't have any effect. It didn't have any effect because the mass vote that pulled in Labour was the Muslim communities on these lands, because of course the bank that they serve, or mosque, told them to do so, because that ensured a cash flow into the mosque, because the majority of Muslims are on benefits. So the Muslims themselves were responsible for the fact that this nation's military ended up in combat situations both in Afghanistan and Iraq. And they don't want to accept that. Well, that's because you're not into reality, you people. You're more into believing in fantasy. But that's not how it works, you know. You can carry on believing in fantasy and nonsense, but it doesn't mean that you're right. It means that you're failing to face reality because you can't. But that's the situation as it happened. Muslims blocked voting, brought in new Labour, and made sure that this country attacked their own cultures. That's the way it works. They don't want to see it. Well, it's fine. I saw it. I can still see it. Again, today, you've got all these diversions being put up there. They've got everybody excited on this protest idea, which, as I said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to do something. That's good. It shows that people have still got a little bit of life in them. However, they will not achieve anything except give more power to this corporate system. That's all it's going to do. But more importantly, while you're focused to that, waiting for Tommy's party on the 13th of September, you're not focused to what's going on. You've also got this Bank of England bailing structure. I mean, this was set up in 2012 and then tested in Cyprus, if you remember. It's a GSFI, I think. I've got a report on the website. But this is back in 2012 when they set this up. The haircut, they call it. And the Bank of England, 2021, were laying it out as how they're going to do it. They're going to do it over a weekend. Nobody's paying attention. And whatever you've got savings is going to devalue to a ridiculous amount, and they'll put your cash into shares or bonds in relation to the bank that you're in. So we'll have a look at that. But more importantly, it's this readiness that they've got going on for the schools. Now, yeah, people there across the world are apt to always flap around like a fish on a beach, out of water. Oh, what we're going to do, what we're going to do, what we're going to do. Well, and it's what we're going to do, or what are you going to do, what the government going to do, who's going to help me, who's going to do that. That has to end. You know, it's so pathetic and infantile. And people still haven't grasped the fact that that's exactly what that is. And that's exactly where they want you. You know, as civilization has progressed, you've become so lazy, specifically since the 60s. You know, you've given up so many parts of your own responsibility for your own life, i.e., you've given up completely the health of your temple, your body, to a doctor. You have done that. You have given up your responsibility for self to a doctor. You've given up your spiritual responsibility to a priest, to a vicar, to an imam, to a rabbi. You've given up your power to influence what's going on around you, in your locality, to an MP, to a councillor, to a stakeholder committee. And then you wonder why you're in this mess. You have given them this power, and you've not realised it. You should have got a good realisation in 2020, when how many presenters gave their entire body over, and their offspring over, to these politicians, to these doctors, to these scientific so-called experts that were nothing of the sort. But your subconscious operates in that manner. I can't be doing that. Somebody else must do it. Blah, blah, blah. As you give a bits of all your power away, then you've no power. Have you? You have no power because you've given it away. And moaning about it now and blaming these forces that have took that power that you've given away is infantile. And if you haven't learnt that in the last 5 years, now that you can see clearly that they turned the tables on you, like I said they were going to do before they launched the whole gig, you're going to take it thinking you're forced to, then you're going to realise you weren't forced to, they're going to make it clear that you weren't forced to, that you did it of your own choice. Like they said you to leave your contract of employment. You didn't. Then they said you didn't. Now those that issued the nonsense are now liable. And no insurance. They're not covered. I told you all this, that this was going to happen. I said hold your ground, because 12 months down the line you're all going to be so happy that you didn't, because you'll see now that it was just a blag. And it was the fact that they made it look like you had to do it, and you had given all your power away, that you didn't have the common sense or intellect to recognise that this is a super blag. You didn't. You believed it because you've given the power away. That is the human condition. And then the most important reasoning behind this, and the reason why they can do this, is because you're so far away from being man, as presented in the biblical text, the original Genesis 1. You're now a human, a shade of man, But you're more than that. When you accept and acknowledge humanity, a human form, i.e. human rights, you're declaring yourself a monster, an infant. And an infant is then afforded and given all the rights of a person, which is a dead entity. It's a fiction on a piece of paper. It has no life. It has no will. So people decry this, and then, without considering the fact, well, hang on a minute, this system has power because it deals only with a dead entity, a fiction, something that doesn't exist, it's not real. And that fixes to you because you are no longer real. You've given all your power away. Now, your conscious mind's awakening up to this. But it's not your conscious mind that runs the show on an individual level. It's the subconscious. Your subconscious is giving its power away. Your conscious mind just agreed with it. Now your conscious mind's having a bit of a, whoa, wait a minute. But still, the subconscious of you is running the gig. You're still giving your power away. You're going out protesting, saying to the government, stop, don't do this, we don't like it, no, don't do it anymore. But all they see is a dead entity. You're dead, you're a fiction, you don't exist. You don't have capacity. If they gave you capacity and you couldn't stay, you'd completely and utterly ruin the estate, you'd ruin the nation. That's their standpoint. Now, we're not saying it's right because there's no disclosure. We know it's a fraud. However, in giving your power away bit by bit over these centuries, you might say, that's the capacity you have. You're stuck. You can't see. You've no points of reference beyond what you're getting on the internet. You know what I mean? You care about what they say over there, and they might think, why you give a shit about what anything out there has to say, has to think, and wants to do? Well, because you've given it your power, and therefore your subconscious is running with it. Oh, well, we must. Oh, no. That is the predicament that you're in. People. I mean, so many people that are very awakened to this, are still trying to find somewhere to run away to. Well, that's because you haven't read the doctrine. You haven't studied the United Nations. You haven't studied the protocols. Why? Because you believed what you believed were being said about the protocols, which was they're forgery. Well, had you given a bit of effort to etymology or English, you'd understand that a forgery is the copy of an original. So they would declare a forgery in a court. You thought you understood what that meant, which meant it wasn't true. No. So you never looked. So you've no points of reference to pull back your own power. You're always dependent on what's been programmed into that subconscious. And it's the same today, right now. People are becoming a bit savvy with what this agenda of immigration is. It's the Kalergi plan. It's being run by your government because it's contracted to the United Nations. It's contracted to the European Union, which is 46 judges running unelected judges in the European Court of Human Rights. See, the 46 judges running the monsters, trying to prevent the monsters from escaping out the zoo. But those 46 judges are being told what to do by the United Nations, by contract. They're all incorporated entities. They're all governed by the contracts. You're acting as a person. That person is governed by the contract, which is all the statutes and legislation coming out of the Trust Corporation, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, etc. Because you have given up your power, your responsibility for self. This is where fear is born in this time now. And this is why people that should know better are trying to run off. It is very clear when you read their agenda. They are beginning it in the West. Read between the lines as to why. Because together we're the most potent, which is why they've spent so many decades attacking us, demolishing the family, etc. Education, finance, etc., etc., shifting it all to the East. But it's a lot easier to attack the West because the entire ignorant world believes that it is the West that's the cause of the empire. It's not. The cause of the empire is Persia. It's a Persian idea. And history shows you that. The purveyors of it as the banking interests or beneficiaries, the families, claim origin in Persia. They have taken over everything through issuing loans under compound interest. The kings, the monarchs, the prime ministers, the presidents are operating in accordance with the contracts that have been made with these PCIs, which means the collateral they had because you've given up your power to these people, not just you in particular, but your ancestry. And therefore you are the only collateral they've been able to offer to these purveyors of compound interest, who give themselves many names. Whatever country they're in, they'll call themselves that. This is the way it is. This is why I've said to you all along, you've got to focus to what you can change. And the only power you have is of yourself and your offspring up until you, like, say, age of 14, when they're pretty much off on their own character. And depending what's been put into them from 0 to 14 is going to depend on how much they're going to tell you lies as to what they're really up to. So it works. 14 is biblical. You're responsible spiritually for your own life. Now remember, it doesn't matter whether you believe in religion. This is not about religion. This is about the doctrine that runs the world. Religions are something completely different. Religions are man's take on those doctrines in a manner that serves them as an elite, as a power base that gives them free reign in the world while keeping you, building it, funding it, keeping it going. This is the way it works. But they're in this position today because of you. Even a slight little bit of your own power, if you give it away to something else. A mentor. This is why they've got mentors everywhere. What is a mentor? Don't think for yourself, son. I'll teach you. Yeah. This is what secret societies are. You know, this is what religion is. This is what business is, apprenticeships, etc. Maybe not so much back in the past, you were learning a trade. But now, in the last, 30 years, it's not about learn a trade, it's become an apprenticeship, and I'll teach you how to behave and obey and the prizes and things you're after, you'll get. Yeah, the mentors are in the schools, are in the school internet platforms. I mean, when this first started, we outed it at Life in the Mix. Even the teachers were at the loop as to who these mentors were that the little flea bags were talking to. And they were centred in Lancashire at Lancaster University. So in essence, you've got an intelligence hub surrounded by a university to hide it. Industrial estates surrounding an intel hub. And we found paedophilia all over it. Mum and Dad, they pretended that you got access to it, but you didn't really. You had access to a certain part of it. But once you were into school, they were in the school, nobody had a clue who they were talking to. Only them at headquarters at Lancaster University. At all the universities. Because that's what they are, these universities. They're intelligence hubs surrounded by something that you would never dream the intelligence hubs in there. That's the way it is. In your councils. They're in everything. Because they are the intelligence for the corporate system. Yeah, Satan's world, Iblis, whatever you want to call it. The world belongs to it. And that's the way it is. Now, we've got this school thing that's, I mean, I don't have offspring at school. I don't. And so it'd be different kettle of fish if I did, as it was when mine were at school. It would hard work, because I didn't take any shit. I didn't accept any of the nonsense. And that's when they were pushing all this stuff in, trying to find you this, absencing, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen. I said, if my offspring are off, unless you find them playing truant, it's authorised by me. I said, I don't care what you think. It's authorised by me, and you'll get a little letter for your file when I send them back. And that were it. They tried everything. I just didn't budge. I didn't budge because they were my offspring. And I didn't believe the government, or the police, or anybody else that thought they had some kind of claim on the fact that they saw me as a parent. And I used to say then, no. I'm the father. See, the buggered when you say, I'm father. Parent, what's that? I'm father. It just... So, I'm talking to you now. Not saying, oh, well, you should do this, you should do that. And I haven't done it. Believe me, I have. I did it all. And I caused them a lot of problems. Because they just didn't get their way. That's all. I never got a fine, ever. And if my kids were off, they were off. End of story. I'd authorised it. And I made it clear to them, in a letter for the file, you're responsible for the safety of my offspring from the point they move into the school building until the minute they step out. However, I made it also clear, if there is any accident at all or incident in which one of my offspring requires medical treatment, you do nothing except ring me, mother, and maybe we had a couple of other numbers in the family. You do nothing except ring. You see, that's how I did it back then. Because what I realised were, when your offspring were going on school trips, you'd have a letter, and you were basically sanctioning full medical power of attorney to the school should there be any incident. And people weren't realising that that's what they were actually doing. And it got to the point after the 2009 bird flu thing that included that if one of your offspring had an accident, they took them to hospital. If they decided they wanted to juice them, then you'd given them power of attorney to make that decision. I mean, I was well on this years ago. I've been doing this for a long time. And I'm not blowing my trumpet. I'm just letting you know. I get the game. I understand the crack. And now it's coming to fruition for these fruit bats, these unclean PCI horror stories. They're coming, it's pulling it in. They're frightened, they're getting worried because it's collapsing in China, and so they're forcing it in here as quickly as they can before people really do awaken to what's going on. But all this that they've got going on at the moment for this go and protest, It is a waste of your energy. A waste of your energy. So we'll start off and we'll look at these videos, and then we'll get into what I would suggest begins to take root in your minds, and then is backed by energy, because you're going to move on it. So we'll look at these first, and then I'll get into this is how it should be. When you've realised that you've to stop giving even an inch of your power to anything outside you. And because if you don't, nothing out there is going to stop this, because everything out there that you've given your power away to is promoting this, is facilitating this, is making it happen and protecting it. And that has to be your foundation of how you understand what's going on right now and is set to carry on into the future. If you can't accept that, if you can't acknowledge that, take it from me, you are going to suffer like you've never imagined. Because at this point now, you couldn't be asked, or you were too fearful to man up, stop acting like an infant, stop playing on your fucking PlayStations, stop being worried about fucking painting your fucking nails and injecting foreskins in your fucking lips. Because that's where your attention is. This is make or break time, people. It's make or break. Because these fuckers now are pushing. And they're pushing hard. Because they know there is an awakening. But awakening in your conscious mind is one thing. It's still your subconscious that's moving the game, your game. The conscious mind has to be followed by energy, or you're just floating around in fucking la la land, and it'll just add to your emotional fucking uproar, because you can see what's happening. And you know, you break this I can't do anything about it, because if you tell yourself that, then you can't, can you? You see, it's all in you. All of it. If the Christ, as they say, is to come back, there it is. You have to rebirth that image that we're all born with in the original of our Heavenly Father. And he doesn't take shit. And he wrote you a whole fucking load of laws to show you how you can deal with this. And it isn't by giving up your power to a load of fruit bats that are actually doing it. You know? Right, so there's only 2 shorts and then we'll get into it. Because it's important that you change the way you think. Because otherwise, nothing's gonna change.
Preparing for, and what do the government know and they're not telling us? So I was sent this anonymously. And it's either a letter or an email that's being sent to some schools or being prepared to send to some schools. Let me show you it. So there it is. You can pause this. I'll do you a slightly blown up version of it in a second. Explaining lockdown drills to children. So this is now going out, I think, to parents. And it's basically saying that alongside fire drills, they are now going to be doing lockdown drills. So there's a slightly zoomed in version of it. And it basically says that if your child comes home talking about having to hide like a mouse under the tables, then this is totally normal. Well, this ain't totally normal. We don't live in America, where you get people coming into the schools with the pew-pews. I mean, what reason would a primary school need to go on a complete lockdown, with children hiding under tables, doors being locked and secured? I'm hearing lots of rumours of things that are going on in some of these hotels, and now things like this are starting to get out into the open. It's not looking good, is it? If you've heard about this or you've had an email or something like this, let me know in the comments. again, the person that sent me this wanted to be anonymous, and obviously this hasn't necessarily been sent to me, this is secondhand. But it looks fairly legit to me. They're talking about EYFS up there, which is early years foundation stage. There's the full thing. You can have a look at that. I'll get my head out of the way. And you can zoom in and read some of that. Looks like it might actually be off of a computer screen. So again, not 100% confirmed, unless some of you have had it, but what are we doing? Sign of the times. Shocking.
So that's the latest one that he's put out, but they did one earlier in the week. And I mean, this is not new to me. This, you know, I had absorbed all this back in 2008 and 9 when they had when they were changing everything, the mental health, etc., in the background while everybody was focused to the bird flu. So it isn't new. Have I gone past it? I think I might have gone past it, actually. Oh dear. Yeah, I think I might have gone past it. Okay. So I have gone past it. My apologies. But, so this isn't anything new to me. For me, this is just, now they're doing it in a different way, given they've broke everybody's will during the last 5 years, which they have. Where's the other one? Oh, that's not good. Have they taken it down? They do like to do that when I'm not looking. Oh no, wait a minute. That is the first one. My apologies. Right, this is the latest one that he's put out, which again I find interesting.
What the fuck has been going on in the primary schools over the summer holidays? Now, lots of you will have seen my video I made yesterday, day before, talking about these lockdown procedures. Anyway, I've had loads of whistleblowers in my DMs that don't want to be notified, don't want to be put out there, their names, of course they don't. So I've had a few people saying to me that primary schools up north have had to install something called security film. Now this is like a plastic sheeting almost, sticker that goes on all of the windows on the first story and doors so that people can't see in. Now this isn't government policy yet, but they reckon it will be very, very soon. They're expecting people, I don't know who, to be looking through classroom windows and doors. And this film, this security film, is being put up to make sure that nobody can see in. But that also means that the kids can't see out, so they're not actually going to get anything other than just daylight now. This is happening. So lots of you, when you get back to school in September, you're going to find this opaque sheeting over all of the windows, and this is going to start being rolled out. Now, somebody might say this is good, but it's not normal. What exactly are our government expecting to happen come the new school term?
Now, okay, that's one aspect, and what this guy's saying is good, but you've got to also remember, and we pointed this out when we were undermining the academy agenda that was being rolled out way back in the day, and that is the fact that when you deprive life of the sunlight, it has a serious effect on the capacity of those suffering it. So, and then of course we've got the LED lighting. If these kids are just going to be in rooms like mausoleums, with only light going on as these LED lights, again, that is another agenda that we know has an effect on your offspring. And that isn't good. We also expose colour, use of colour. They had cameras everywhere in these academies. And the problem was back then nobody seemed to care. Parents just didn't seem to really care about what were going on. So we completely exposed this entire new corporate education agenda. Paedophile mentors, and the lockdowns, keeping your kids in, sending you texts saying you can't pick up your offspring, blah, 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 blah. I mean, come on. And nobody really... I think I got about 6 calls from concerned mothers and fathers back in that time. It were horrendous. And I had a friend in the yard at the time also, and I asked him how were people reacting to getting the text message. And he said they thought it was funny. You know, something's seriously gone fucking wrong here. But it's direct result of what I've just explained before. You've given up all your power to doctors, MPs, to councillors, to schools. I mean, think about a teacher. They're not teaching anything, they're programmers. And you're handing over your offspring to be programmed. Again, that's another power you're giving away. And then you decry the system that you've given your power away to when it starts to take control. Well, you've given it control, albeit blind ignorance, but ignorance is not an excuse, is it? And this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this, I'll probably have to alter this slightly, but this is what I exposed way back in 2009. Okay, and it was a primary school 2009 contingency drill, and a particular character in our town that's exceptionally involved with everybody's children. MI5, and it's not gone down well for him over the years. But you see, the trouble is, you might be doing something in a particular year of your life, not realising that actually what you're doing is not going to go away. Because what you thought it were isn't what it is. And this keeps coming back. I mean, I know this guy. You know, we went to school together. I know all his family. And I wouldn't class them as bad people. But when you get hooked into this crap, because you're chasing money or power or prestige, you better be fully aware of what it is that's going on. Because just because you're not aware doesn't mean to say that I'm not. And I am. And I'm cross about it, and I'm going to make sure I'm explaining it as much to those that want to listen. So this is how long this has been going on. This is how long this nonsense has been in my mind, that I've understood this game that's being played out at the schools. And it's horrendous. It isn't funny. Yeah, it's evil. They're prepping everything for evil. And it's the heads of these schools that are the players, all of them, if they're in this private-public partnership, public-private partnership, which is what the education system is. Now, my grandkids are not in schools that I would consider are subject to this kind of stuff. So again, I don't need to get excited about it. I've educated my offspring enough for them to know what's what themselves. They've always got me to call on as and when, and that's fine. But this is what it's about. You've got to teach your offspring self-responsibility. Now, let's look at it from this. Let's just say right now, I were in your position and I had offspring at these primary schools. Right, so this is what I'd be doing. I would be around them schools all day, patrolling. Not in the school grounds, because then you're going to cause trouble for the school. You're going to get a bit upset. And I'd be there, because I'd think I'm responsible for the safety of my offspring. I'm going to make sure nobody gets in that school that I don't like. So, I'd be looking to get other fathers involved that were playing on the PlayStation, playing with the cell, watching Pornhub, who basically doing nothing all day. Because this is a good way in which it's going to motivate you guys out there to get back on your feet. And your impetus isn't for cash, it's for your offspring's survival and safety. And not only yours, all the offspring in them schools. You see, I said this the other week, there's two kinds of people in this world, but very few of the latter that I'm going to give you. There's them that need to be told what to do. And then there's them like me who just do what the fuck they want and what needs to be done. And I've always been like that. I have never fucking done what I'm told by anybody if I didn't like it. I've always done whatever the fuck I wanted. Because that's me. Because I won't give my power away to nobody. Unless I'm involved in working with them. And they've threatened me with death, shooting, everything. It's still a big kiss my fucking ass. Go on then. Fucking show me. Because I don't give a fuck. And I ain't stopping. That's me. Yeah, that's me. Because I think I was pretty much born to that. You know, I'm my own fucking man. And that's it. I've always been my own man. And this is what's missing out there in La La Land today. And you're all subject to it to a degree. So it's a self-analysis that needs to take place here. And be honest with yourself. But what this needs now, it probably needs about 10 or 15 males, fathers of offspring at these schools. The minute they go back to school, you're there, outside. Come together. Create a unit. And it doesn't need 10 of you there all the time. Shift it. Do it in shifts. So that you're patrolling them schools, the entrances. You're clocking who's going in them fucking schools. Then you're starting to come together as people. You're coming together as fucking males. Forget what your fucking crazy bitch wife and mother has to say about it if she's telling you shouldn't do it. That's women shit. We've listened to women for longer fucking enough. I'm talking to males. And I'm not poo-pooing you women. You women are women. And until women stop thinking they have to turn men into women, they're going to have a bit of a problem. They're going to be upset. But at the end of the fucking day, boys, you're a male. Be a fucking male. These are your offspring, potentially, at fucking risk here. Look at what happened in Southport. You're telling me that fucking little fruit bat weren't told? How did he know there were kids having a party that day in this fucking place, 10 mile away from where he fucking lived? He didn't. He was an intelligence fucking operative. And they told him to fucking go. And this is exactly what would happen if these scenarios come to fruition in the schools. They've been programming your subconscious to accept this new format into the schools for 20 years, since Blur got in. Your subconscious has accepted it. Your conscious mind now is saying, boop, 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 boop. But that's only half the fucking tale. You can see what's happening. You have to shift your subconscious to give and energize that conscious awakening so that it becomes real. Now listen, I'm going to give you the authority by which you can do this. Because I know people out there need to be told what the fuck to do. So I'm going to give you the authority that tells you this is not only something you can do, it's your fucking duty. It's your duty. Okay? Now, pay attention to this. Right. This is the 9 principles of law enforcement adopted by British and Commonwealth constabularies. So this is America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Blighty. Okay? This is what it means to be a constable. And it starts off, because Principle 7 is important, and he says, to maintain at all times a relationship which gives reality to the historic tradition that the police are the public and that the public are the police. The police being only members of the public who are paid to give full-time attention to duties which are incumbent on every citizen in the interests of community welfare and existence. Okay? Now, of course, here we're dealing with constables. Now, this is another part you need to get into your mind. But first, we'll just look at Principle 5. Because when these little fucking fruit bats up out there that look like they're age 10, with the blue eyeliner on, the big fancy blue blonde hair, walking around like they're summer, they're telling you that they're constables. No, you're fucking not, actually. You're private for profit, corporate goons operating for a foreign entity, oathed to a liege lord, which is a feudal lord, which is a guy that's took the title Charles III. It's just a name. It has no fucking bearing on England at all. Principle 5 gives the paradigm in which both a police constable and a citizen of the realm can operate. It has strict boundaries in order it can be ascertained the moment there is a breach of the principles. So these constables are not allowed to breach these principles. To seek and to preserve public favour, not by pandering to public opinion. So it doesn't fucking matter what these invading subcultures think and whether they're offended. It's not the job of a constable to give a fuck. But by constantly demonstrating absolutely impartial service to the law, not corporate fucking parliamentary legislation. That's private for profit, Trust Corporation United Kingdom's rules of contract. That is not the law. Here's the kicker. In complete independence of policy, what does government put out? Nothing but policy. So a constable has absolutely no fucking business and is completely independent of government, of UK Trust Corporation statutory law. Now, you go, oh yeah, but that's infant talking again. What I was talking about at the beginning. Get out of this infantile fucking garbage, people. Right? Because this is how it is. You have to recognise as a foundation before you start to realise it's on you. The government is not your government. Parliament is not your parliament. The House of Lords is not your House of Lords. The Church of England is being dismantled. The police are impersonating constables. That's a criminal offence. The police do not serve you, though they're robbing the public purse, because you still believe what they say when they say they're constables. Again, that's on you. They are a foreign policy enforcement brigade operating for the PCIs who are demanding your estate, your offspring to pay back the debts borrowed by monarchs, aristocrats, and people that should have known fucking better way back in the mists of time. They are your enemy. They control the empire, which, for argument's sake today, is still known as the British Empire. It isn't, other than the fact it was centred on the British Isles, and a lot of our demented ancestors thought it were a good idea to go and join it. In the same way, all these immigrants today, regardless of what they claim, are here because they are operatives of the fucking empire. The empire is the fucking problem. And it's called British. It's not English. It's not Scottish. It's not fucking Welsh. And it's not Irish. Right? There's your foundation. None of that shit that you've given up your power to is on your side. It's on you. And this is the kicker. English law, in its entirety, up to 1688, is the common law. And it's the acts, agreements, and charters made by the people of the nation England with the monarch. It were the terms that we agreed to be governed by, which meant we all accepted those terms as good for our cultural idea. And it goes way back into the mist of fucking time, to the Seven Kingdoms, before the fucking Saxons came. Before the Seven Kingdoms of these British Isles have got fuck all to do with Saxon. This is how the Britons were before the fucking Romans even. But then again after the Romans. Before the fucking invasion from the Saxons. And the Vikings. That's how long and old these laws are on these isles. The people are the ones that came into agreement. A nation is made up of people. Now, even in the Bible, the Father says, my people are destroyed through lack of knowledge. And that is exactly what's happened. At the same time as you've given all your power away. I'm afraid you don't have the 30 odd years that I've had to come to these understandings. You don't have that time frame anymore. It's on you now. So take it from me that my entire life has been building to this grasp on this situation. And that is the way. We have to come back together as a people. And one of the first kickers here for me is what you're going to do with these schools. Are you going to just sit there whinging, sat at home, playing your PlayStation, worried? Or are you going to get off your fucking ass and come together as English people and start to realise there are no constables policing these islands anymore. There's just a foreign army in black uniforms with police written on the fucking back of the uniform, playing along with all these licensed security guys that again don't know their ass from the fucking elbow, licensed by the empire, the same corporate interests that are running this private for profit police force. Because until you recognise that none of that's going to help you, you're always going to sit there whinging and going, whoa, what can you do? And then you're going to go and protest and say, please stop doing this. Can you not do it this way? We don't like it. Do you think they're going to fucking listen? They're that far down this dictatorial line? No, they're fucking not. We have to come back as a people. We have to start to recognise the law of the people, the contracts. We set up with a monarch who held our estates in trust. We handed our sovereignty to a figurehead. Decried in the biblical script because it told you exactly where it's going to go. Never mind that. It's been a monarchy for a long fucking time. Let's deal with what we've got. Let's not keep arguing about how it should be. Because now we have to make it how it fucking should be. And this is the perfect opportunity for sensible males with the same fucking interest, i.e., I don't want my offspring to get harmed, nor do I want any other offspring in these schools to be harmed, knowing full well the fucking teachers are not set to protect them. The police in the police intelligence are going to facilitate whatever plans they may have. It's on you. You want 10 or 15 males, fathers, from every school, coming together as a unit, taking it in shifts to patrol that school. What? You need 5 guys at a time. So if there's 15 here, that's 3 shifts in a day. I'm sure you can fucking manage it. Not only that, if other schools do the same, you can start to interconnect with those same units. You're starting to build a serious people with power. Because you're not running around causing violence. You're doing exactly what the 9 principles of law enforcement give you a duty to do. And you're not listening to these private for-profit twats. Because we know majority of these police guys are thick as pig shit. They don't know their ass from Delvaux and the kids. But the inspectors are all fucking working for the 21st degree Prussian Knight, Scottish Rite fucking Freemasonry. All of them. Your sergeants. All of them. Acting for that. Now, they probably don't even understand what the fuck they're operating for. Because they're not very bright either. See the game. They're not there for you. They're there to give this evil an open door. Like all the false flags that we've seen. Manchester. All these false flags on the London bridges with the actors. Who the fuck do you think's facilitating it? Your fire fucking service. Your police. Your resilience forums. Your counsellors. And then the other tin pot fucking corporate bunch of dicks that are involved in keeping these false flags. Because they always start as a drill. Don't they? Have you forgot? They're going to struggle to do these drills outside of school if you've got 5 fucking fathers on the ball taking it upon themselves to start to act correctly in protecting your offspring. Not only are you protecting your offspring, you're protecting the teachers. Anything other than that mindset is pissing in the fucking wind. You're pissing in the wind. Go and join Tommy's fucking party down in fucking London. You might have a good fucking time. But you're going to solve nothing. They've got a petition over 350,000 signatures. Parliament has to act on 100,000 against this censorship bill, online bill. The government is still saying we have no intention of repealing the act when it becomes in force. I think it's in force. They've passed it. See the writing on the wall. Stop wishing on a star. This is not going to fucking happen. You've done the fucking worst part. You've given your power away. Take it back. Take it back. And you don't ask any motherfucker's permission. You don't need anybody else's permission. But there you go on England. There's your fucking rules. It's a duty for you to protect the law. And that law is no breach of the peace. No destroying children. That's the act of a wicked man. Anybody that protects that is a wicked man. Whether they're ignorant of it or not. And you have a right, in the biblical terms, to deal with the wicked man. Stop asking for permission. Man up. Stop being fucking infants. But recognise the reason why you're in that position is because you've given your power away. And you've given your power away to the fucking unclean monsters. And you expect them to come and help you. You expect them to serve your children and keep them safe. You expect them to give you clean food. To ensure you've got farmers farming. Why would they do that? That's not their intention. Their intention is to kill you. Their intention is a third world war between the Christians and the Zionists. Or rather, the Zionists and the Muslims. Because the Muslims haven't realised that the Sharia that they're following is Zionism. This is about depopulation. This is about getting you to kill each other. That's what it is. Why? Because you've given them that power to do it. So that you could watch telly. Go pub. Go and play out in your fancy car. Whatever the fuck it is you do. That to you has been more important over these decades than making sure your offspring, your family unit is safe. Chasing your cock. Chasing your six-figure fantasy guy that's never going to come anywhere near you because you've got somebody else's kids. You know, get a grip, people. People watching fucking... Oh, I don't need a man. All right, how are you going? You don't need a fucking man. If they conscript all the white fucking males here, cock, I'll tell you what it is. You will have fucking needed a man, but it'll be a little bit too fucking late. Because they'll be knocking on your fucking door and you'll be enslaved. Not because I say that, because that's the fucking doctrine. You don't know that because you've not read it. Again, you believe. Is that what, are you a bunch of peas? Oh, yeah, oh, all right then. Give your power away. Oh, well, I'll believe you, because you're nice. It's giving your power away. If somebody said to me, oh, this might be happening, I'd go, right, I'd go and study it. Intensely until I knew what it said. Like I always fucking do. That's not giving your power away. And it ain't easy. It's not a normal gig. It's not what people expect you to be doing in life. And then they think, oh my God, you're crazy. You might have a mental illness. No, actually, it's you fucking lot that have got mental illness. It's not you personally, guys. I'm just going back in my past when people have said to me, something fucking wrong with you. No, there isn't, pal. It's you that's fucked. And I used to be like you, so I know that you're fucked. And all you're doing is taking back your power. You're educating yourself. You're not giving a fucking ounce of power away to any fucker. Nobody. And I'm not talking about your wife and your offspring. That's a family unit. I'm talking about outside of that. Listen to what they have to say. But don't feel like you have to take it on. Right, so we'll look who's in. And, you know, I can't say any more than that. And I'm not telling you anything to do anything that I haven't done myself or wouldn't do if I needed to do that. I'm not that kind of guy. You know, I'm telling you to do what I would fucking do and have done. So, it's up to you. Right. Let's chill it on it. End of Sunday's sermon. Shouting sermon, I might add. But it's serious, guys. I'm not joking, but it's not fucking funny where they're at. And this bailing thing, we'll have a look at that as well after. Right. June says, evening Sean and chat, evening June. Kerry says, love from Ireland, love back to Ireland. PY Music, good evening all, evening Paul. Pregnant Wedgie Board, evening all, hope you are well, evening to you. John says, hello Sean, alright matey. Kerry, Junie, Fruit Bats and everyone in the Wise Asylum. Evening John. Meander V, good even Vond, Olamal. Well, good evening to you, my good man. Anthony says, that's better, good evening Sean, and chat my friends and all from here, there and everywhere. I was sure you're talking about my terrible efforts at setting off a live stream. I think I had it trying to do 2 live streams at the same time. Stereo. Anyway, it didn't work. Evening, Anthony. June says, John Francis, good evening. June, hello, Sean, evening. Dave, Riz, and Chatter says Jane. John says it's a good vid at the beginning. So well done, John. He's our inmate, our psychic inmate. John, he already knows it's a good vid before we start. So, there you go. Solvimus gives it the pink wavy hand, even if Solvimus from down under. In fact, you're not really down under, right? You're just south. Anthony says, a bit of fuckery tonight with comms show. Yes, I was initially booted. Phone. You were initially booted. Phone, television, my be hitting buttons that don't want pressed by the content tonight, perhaps. No, it was on me. Entirely my gig. I think I'd pressed buttons I shouldn't have pressed. The box for going live gone. So instead of finding it, I started again. So when I looked on there were two, and I think it just, yeah, anyway, my bad. So, no, I'm not blaming anybody tonight on that. Paul says, evening Sean and fellow inmates of the Wise Asylum. Evening Paul. John Francis, you are a boomer. No, I'm a fucking Gen X, me, mucker. All the fucking way. Them boomers are nuts. No, I'm not a boomer. My fault. Sorry, John. I can't agree with you there, matey. Anthony says, booked in, bro, for the 19th. Oh, good stuff. The good lady wife is also coming up for the gig. Nice to meet the wife as well. Nice one, Anthony. Like button, my good people. Yes, get that like going down. And spread this one around because I'm sorry, but that's it. That's all there is on the fucking table. Now, you're either going to suffer it like a fucker, as these bastards do the gig. These are Bolsheviks, remember, people. Or you're going to get off your ass and start thinking, yeah, all right, let's take responsibility and let's just get crack on. I don't need your information. I don't even need to give a fuck what you're saying. Because you don't. You don't. And remember, you've always got the Wise Asylum. If you need any advice. If you need to understand the law quicker than you would normally. You know? And keep that in mind. And I don't mean come to me with nonsense. But we're talking about if you're going to get stuck into this and take it seriously, as a people, I'm your fucking man. Okay? And I'm not a secret society either. Why do I have to be secret? I'm on England. And I've just given you the fucking doctrine that says it's your duty. Of course, I am not a citizen. But it doesn't fucking matter. Right. Benefactor says, Sean inmates, evening benefactor. Neat one. Passing police entry without a warrant now whilst protest is distracting people. Yeah, that's the fraud, error and recovery bill. Outrageous. I mean, that bill, I couldn't believe it when we went through it on the other live stream. Yeah, you're quite right, neat one. And welcome. Are you a newbie? What? Umbongo APG. One way to fight back is to ask for your image when you being Tesco and such. CISB Film Productions for info. Yeah, because they do have to give you that data, don't they? You're quite right. Yeah, I never thought of that. That's a good gig. Thanks for that. $5,000 if they say no. Right, so do you have a link to Ubongo Wangapang? Or whatever they are. Or actually, you might be able to put a link up. Thanks for that, Umbongo. John says, parents can't enter school grounds now. They are locked out by fences and electric gates that only buzz open when staff allow. Yes, but if you've got 5 fathers doing a parole, you get the gig. You're going to spoil the fun. You're going to spoil the fun, aren't you? Yeah, they can't do their little games if there's fucking 5 guys wandering around school going, oi, the fucking hell your game, pal? You know what I mean? I mean, it'd be nice at that if you like, but I'm annoyed with it. We don't really give a fuck. Pregnant says, imagine if people had refused to acquiesce to the airport rules in 2001. Well, you should have just said, yeah, anything to go, yeah, my rights are in force here, look. And show him what Queen said about you not being harassed. It's on your passport. AMG says, evening Sean, Stumpy Jane, Rizzler, Mew and all non-mutants. A little late tonight, but happy to be here among the Wise Asylum. After a week dealing with the reprobates and scumbags. Well, there's plenty of them about, AMG. Evening to you. Neat one says, they're allowing fluids again at Birmingham and Manchester. Fluids. At Birmingham and Manchester. Oh, you mean airport? Okay. Big E, Sean, evening to all. Hope you guys are well. Evening to you, Big E. Weefy Man says, amazing show last week, Sean. Did the catch up Exolark. Very interesting indeed. Yes. And then a few years ago, we actually went through. There's 3 families that have been building up this Exolarchy system in the East. And they've had power such that they were the Jews that Winston Churchill used to go on about being around Edward the Seventh. He used to call them his pet Jews. That's Winston Churchill used to call them that. And that were Dangor, Sassoon, and I can never remember it. Thirden. Dangor, Sassoon. I forgot. I really need to double check that because I always forget that third one, but never mind. You get the gist. Yeah, I'm glad that we're interested because it were a good one that last week. For people that need that kind of support to help them understand a bit more what Bible's really selling instead of going with the religion's edit. So thanks for that, Weefy Man. Pregnant says, always thought removing your belt was bloody ridiculous. What, at airport? We the people. Exactly. England's made up of an agreement with the people. Oh, and I failed to say, this is the gig. England has no king. The contract is broken. The corporate bunch of tits have oath to a title that the liege lord has taken, Charles III, but there is no contract now between that pillock and the people. But you've got to be people, not persons. And therefore, the handing of the sovereignty in trust with the monarch is no more. It goes back to you. There's the power of the people. You're reclaiming your sovereignty, not a sovereign citizen, because that's a contradiction in terms. Okay? You might want to go back to that again, just to listen to that, because that is the structure. That's the basic structure of what England is and the laws of England, up to 1688. This is why Graham Moore is pissing up his own leg. Where are we there? Human cut-off man, we the people. Yep. Neat one says, human, the cut-off man. But ye, been nothing but the divine's creation. I mean, I'm just always trying to become further and further in tune with that. That is my journey. You know what I mean? That is my journey. The more I become in sync with the image of that he put in us all, you know, the better. The better it is. Because this is the place to do it down here in this life. You know, people have this idea that it doesn't matter how I live down here. Once I die, I'll become an angel. Well, you become a fucking angel. You'll lose your body and stay exactly as your character is. You're not going to change your fucking ounce. You're just going to be able to see what a fucking mess you've made. You know, there are people going, oh, yes, but once I die, I'll grow my wings and become an angel again. Well, you fuck. Exactly as you are now, at your death, is exactly you'll pass off. You'll just lose the body. And then you'll probably have to come back and do it all again. Gosh, people are so fucking ignorant of spirituality, really. It's, why? Because religion's throwing a lot of shit down your fucking neck, that's why. Pregnant Wedgie Board, and where's the one world religion, Baha, come from? Well, it's all, the empire is a Persian gig. It's always been an empire. Troy were a trading bloc, a civilization. The Irish to Atherdinnan and Scotia, that were all making, and the Hyperboreans, that was a civilization. Not so much an empire. It's the empire that destroyed Troy, you know, and they call them Greeks, but when you get into nitty-gritty of it, it wasn't actually Greeks that attacked Troy. It were a bunch of fucking pissed off fucking guys that had probably been thrown out of all the civilized fucking principalities and become like pirates. Yeah, so it's now we're on empire. and Xerxes was imperial, and he weren't Darius. He were a completely different egg. But that's where it comes from, and that's why they were always incurred. This is where you get Vlad the Impaler. He stopped them incurring into Europe. So did Charles Martel and Charlemagne. You know, it's so the empire in and of itself, because it's run by the Holy See families, who in turn claim origin. They say Iran specifically, but of course, you're going way back into they're classing it as Iran, but then it wasn't Iran way back then, was it? And we're going way back before even Zoroastrianism, I would suggest. The 10 cursed lines of Cain. It would appear that's where they were fixed. That's where they were sent to. I don't know. Right, so it's absurd, says John. It is. It's ridiculous. But you know what really gets me is this consistent cry from people. Oh, look what they're doing, and look what they're doing. You fucking did it yourself. And it's like, what am I supposed to say to you? What more can I say? What more can I do apart from pointing to the reality of the situation? It's, you have done it. You have given your power away. Because that's what you were taught to do. They tried to teach me that, it just didn't work. You know what I mean? It didn't work. You know? Because that's just me. That's my character. I'm my own man. Where are we? Complacency in the Western region leaves its people open to deception. Well, that's it. We've become so fucking civilized. We can't even make things anymore. You know, there's my generation. We're probably the last of those that were taught through apprenticeships, if you did. I were lucky. I were taught from being year big, going to work with my old fella. He had his own building company, so I learned fucking tons of stuff before I'd even left school. I was doing his plastering before I left school. I was doing his roofs before I left school. Do you know what I mean? And then as I left school, bricklaying, college, and then just learned plastering, perfected it, plumbing, joinery, which is my favourite. I do enjoy joinery. But you were trained fully competent in each particular gig. Nowadays, you'd be lucky to find a tradesman that can even do his trade. No offence to you if you can, of course, but in the general terms, it's not like it used to be. I mean, they've completely lost the importance of the sweeping brush. You know, you go on these sites now, and there's fucking shit everywhere. You don't know how to use a brush. And that's disgusting. Jane says, the first time I ever dropped the C word was 30 seconds before I stopped off my son's head teacher's office. Not having a school threatening me. Well, there you go. It's pathetic, isn't it, really? But you're only renting. You know, they're the custodians of that entity. I mean, how long have I been going on about a person? And you have to change that. That's because that's where the core of it. That's the core contract. You know, no disclosure. We know, but that doesn't stop it from working. So you can either cry about it, or you can just get out. Fuck this. Let's keep going. We're going to find a way. Crying about it's not good. It's not fucking good. You're wasting your energy. You could be putting that energy into doing something real. Something that's going to benefit you. You know, and like I said, it's about collaboration now. People coming together. And always watch out for the shills. Watch out for the shits as you start to pull this together, folks. Because they'll be filling in. They'll be doing everything they can to put these fucking pillocks in these units. And they'll be the ones that cause problems that then create a situation that they all have to think they have to act on. So I'm saying this is the way we move. But be very careful. Be very wary about people. Always go with your intuition on people. And this is the key to doing this, setting this stuff up. When you're coming together, don't think you have to spill all your beans of your entire fucking life. keep it strictly to what you're doing. Because it's by keeping it like that that you'll start to see who you're not playing right. Yeah, don't give too much to anybody when you're forming these units. It's a sort of militia, basically, English militia. But you're doing what's not being carried out now by the state, which is law enforcement. Nobody's enforcing the law. The courts are not playing in law. They're not playing in justice. They can only deal with the fucking ens legis. That's it. Anyway, you know that. Where are we? MG says, and now you use it all the time. He's talking to Jane. Joe swearing. She's a bad one. I don't know. With them long legs and all. Not in the last 5 minutes, though. Well, that's okay, Jane. We'll let you off. Benefactor says, well said, Sean. Couldn't do it better. Thanks, Benefactor. Putting fear into young children. Exactly. Now, this is interesting as well, because this format I'm making them go under the table. At the same time that all that were going on with the Peel Park drill, Manchester Evening News were doing this piece, it lasted about a month, on how they treat the Jewish children in the schools in Manchester. And every day they made the Jewish children, hide under the desks as though they were going to be attacked by Muslims. That's what they do to Jewish people. So can you see how, in truth of the matter, it's not one religion over the other. It's the fact that because people follow religions, it keeps up a division. But ultimately, the people that are running each of these religions, they're not religious. They don't subject themselves to its rules, because they know it's a programming system to keep up division and to keep up fear. But more importantly in Christendom, it's guilt. It's guilt that they use against the white. I'm not guilty for fucking anything. I have never colonised any fucking country. I've never had any slaves. I've no intention of wanting slaves. I don't want to colonise a country. I'm not guilty for that. The Empire did all that. So I have no guilt at all. None. And in my day-to-day actions with people, I'm not coming from a fucking shitty angle. I'm not trying it on. So there is no guilt. I can walk away from everything I do without guilt. Some people might think I'm up to no good or I'm being this. But that's on them. I don't give a fuck what people think. But me personally, from a personal position, I'm coming clean in all my interactions with people. Yeah? I've no guilt. There's none. There's none accrued. You know? And that's what I've learned on this spiritual journey. There is none. If you don't want guilt, don't create reason for having to come away and have guilt. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, that's my advice on how to keep off guilt. Where are we? Teachers need to grow up here, and well, you're not going to get that now, because these teachers are the ones that were programmed since Blur. I mean, all the old school teachers left, didn't they? Because their way weren't the right way, and they knew they weren't being taught anything, and got kicked out. Yeah, so they're programmed. It's not that they don't know, they're programmed. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, if I talk to teachers and they're coming out like, oh, I'm an educator, you're a programmer, you mean? What do you mean? It's like now with nurses and doctors. So I'm a doctor, oh, you're a murderer. What? So, well, that's how I see it now. I can't see it any other way. Well, they're fucking horrified. But I mean it. And I'm coming from a real place. You've been murdering fuckers for the last 5 years. Well, longer. You complicit in it is the gig. So, anyway. So I don't fuck about now, you know. I'm not interested in placating. That's how it is. Take it, fucking leave it, because I don't care what you think. You can be offended, upset, cry all day. I don't give a fuck. I'm on England. You're free to be offended, and I'm free not to give two fucks. And I don't. It's that simple. I don't know whether it's a northern thing or just I'm a breed on my own. I don't know. Teachers have all been common purpose. Yeah, exactly. That's quite right there, yeah. John says, just the other day in Labour's broken Brexit, butt slamming Britain. Oh, I just want to try something. There's 3 different settings on this mic. So, I want to just piss about to see if they are actually different. So, do that. Right, so that should sound different. Because somebody let me know if there's a sound difference. So that's another setting. So does that sound different to the other? Or is it not really audible? Where are we here? Pregnant says, what a ridiculousness 2008 was. HM1 dumb and dumb. Tess Cohen were giving out club card points to get. Was they really? Oh, they tried it big time. Do you know why it collapsed then? Because when they were about to launch it, they said, right, everybody, all the health workers and doctors have to be, and they all went, fuck off. And it collapsed in that day across the world because they all said no thanks. So what's happened in the last, well, it was 10 years then, wasn't it, to 2020. Just what had happened and to change that programming, everybody. Well, as we've just said, new recruits, common purpose people programmed, and that's what they achieved in 10 years. Not good, not good. Big E says, Spawn Sean, they're fucking up the children's circadian rhythms and making them ill. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you won't believe what we did on the academies. I mean, we just blew it to pieces, but only the super intelligent people were getting it. You're running a mill parents. They didn't give a shit. They were too busy playing with themselves. Everything seemed hunky-dory. They couldn't reference what I was saying as real because they weren't being told it were real. So I understood that. I understood that we were like right at the cutting edge of it and that it was difficult for people to come to terms with. But, I mean, there were a lot in America. A lot of American people had known about this because this was put in America first. We got the CCTV gig here first in the 90s. America had been doing all the education stuff. You know, each nation got a different part of the programme. And now what we're finding is the whole programme is being thrust on everybody. Yeah, not good. Cosmic to me says homeschooling. Yep, but they'll come against it again. They always do. Miss Pidgina O'Muckalone has given it the eyeballs and the smiley face. Good evening to you. I like the feisty side of you, Sean in the mix. Good ideas. You're feisty. That's male. That's masculine energy. That's what we are. I know most males have been told to, you've got to be a girl now. It's toxic. It's toxic if you're not what we say you have to be. You have to cry and you have to like faggot and you have to like transgender and you have to not be bossy and you have to let us run riot and do what the fuck we want and put foreskins in his lips and in his eyeballs. Yeah, okay. It never worked for me, I'm afraid. And it never will. That's it. I mean, I'm actually watching soap operas at the moment, and honestly, the stars of all the shows now seem to be muff munchers and bumshaggers. That seems to be being pushed as the prima donna. And they're all white. It's the entire white race in these soap operas that are either killing each other, murdering somebody else, trying to drug people and rape them. There's no fucking white people in these soap operas having a good time. Although, the other day, I did see a couple in the background in the pub on Emmerdale, and they were laughing. So they were quite amazing. I did point it out to my friend, the Flossie, that, did you see that? 2 white people smiling and laughing, which I thought were quite a wow in a soap opera. So, yeah, it's fucking ridiculous how it's going. Pagina. Jane Pagina. Oh, Pagina. Oh, okay, I'm laughing. Right. You're right, Sean. Because remember, that housing tower went on fire over flammable wall coverings and told everyone to stay inside it. They did. And do you know why they didn't do anything about it? Because I think 70% of landlords that were in there were all on cash. They were all fucking immigrants and they were all on cash. And that's why they didn't attack them. They didn't attack landlords, they attacked builders. Not landlords for having 20 people in a room. Yeah. I were all over that on Twitter. It got me in a lot of trouble. Because at the same time, they had this Windrush gig going on as well. And I got in a lot of trouble on Twitter then before they killed my original account. Just undermining their entire scripting. It was quite funny, actually. A lot of people liked it. I just white floor them. They were all going, oh, well, we built your country and we were the fucking... So I put a picture of a mud hut in Africa and a cathedral. I said, oh, right, okay, yeah, I get it. You're definitely architecture is better. I mean, I were being fucking facetious, of course, but, you know, there were real programming going on with that Windrush and that towers burning, and there were other programs going on. It's quite ridiculous, really. But see, what really triggers me is when you see somebody go, I'm a woman of colour. Because I think you racist bastard. Because what they're actually saying is, I'm not fucking white. And he's like, you what? Home and Away. I've even been watching Home and a fucking Way, can you believe it? I can't believe I am actually watching these soap operas, but... And one of these abos is going, I'm a woman of colour. And I'm going, you fucking racist dog shit. And I'm just... Honestly, it's just... And then white people are going, oh, I'm lovely. And I'm like, you fuck off, you racist pig. Am I being naughty? I don't care anyways. I don't give a fuck if I'm being naughty. It triggers me that, because it's the most racist phrase you can imagine. And, yeah. Anyway, where are we? Yeah. So does this mic sound any better? I'll try a different one there. So wait a minute. So if I go... Right, now the third one. Oh, that's... I'm getting a bit closer. How does that sound? Does that sound any different again? So, right, where are we? Benefactors policy, that's right, Jane. Pegina, we'd scare the fuckers away from the school gates. Well, precisely. You don't have to do anything. I'm not saying roam around there knuckle dragging and looking like you're the toughest guy on planet. You're just paying attention, and if there's any signs of lots of suited people, strange people coming out of vans and coloured fellas from like these hotels, you're going to go in there, aren't you, and start causing it. You're going, oh yeah, what are you doing? 5 people in that, you're going to completely annihilate the game before it kicks off. Oh yeah. You get my drift? Remember, England's laws is about keeping the peace. That's the main gist of it. Yeah? So that's what you're doing. You're keeping the peace. You're not allowing these Mossad bastards and affiliated intelligence operatives to send immigrants in these schools and kill kids. It's not a good idea. I don't like it. And, yeah, that's the way it is. So, yes, you will scare the focus away. Jane, and you'd be right to an old girl. To an old girl. What? I'm getting lost in your conversations, Flosses. MG says, get back in the kitchen, ladies. Oh, yeah. I mean, some of my Muslim mates, like, I'd say to them, why do you keep marrying people from over to the side of mountains, like? And they go, well, Shawnee, boy, girls born here won't stay in kitchen. That's straight for they won't stay in kitchen. They won't marry Muslim girls born here because they won't stay in kitchen. They're cheeky. They want rights. They've got makeup on. And, yeah, I like that. I mean, I think, if anything, the Muslim girls, a lot of them here, are the very thing that's going to cause major problems for this ISIS shit. But then they're pretty brutal, aren't they, the ISIS boys, when they get down to the women. They like to rape them stupid, don't they, just to put them in their place. But, yeah, I always I know quite a lot of Muslim girls, you know, because a lot of them are working in a lot of these little coffee shops and places like that. And, you know, they might be brought up in a Muslim culture, but they're as Western as any of us, you know. And, yeah, so I think it would be the girlies, the Western Muslim-born girls, that are going to cause problems. Because in a lot of cases, when you actually speak to them properly, the dads actually like the fact that they're becoming Western and not adhering to the garbage that they ran away from. So they've got the dads on side, you know. You might have problems with some of the brothers, of course, but in general terms, the fathers are supporting it. So, you know, there's always hope, that common ground, as we try to look for. Get back in kitchen. Ooh, you're going to get your bum smacked, AMG, when you get back down to that club. Goodvid says, John again. Nice one, John. The shaman. The shaman of the Wise Asylum. Miss Pegina says, Amarak, we might if you promise not to wear them tea towels on your head. Amarak. We might if you promise not. Am I getting lost in your conversations? He says after spending the last 4 hours cooking. Who? Me? I haven't been cooking. I can't do a stir fry. Who's cooking? He says after spending the last 4 hours. Oh, you. You've been doing it. You big dealer. See, look, he's a big tough dealer, isn't he, really? He copying that, what's he called? What's he called, that? Ramsey. I think he's bloody Ramsey, don't you? I don't know. Delia. Weefy Man says, British Empire is registered in India. I think we went there just to build the infrastructure. Well, I mean, the British Empire is always been run by the moneylenders. And of course, the East is where they built the Exelarch system. This is why they've moved all the production manufacturing to the East. But this is an interesting thing, and I don't think Indians actually get this, but this Sabbatean Jewish sect despise the Indians and the Chinese as Buddhists and pagans. You are, in their eyes, the worst of the pagans, and it's like ridiculous how they decry you. Same with the black race. They hate the black race with a vengeance. It's yeah. I mean, in fact, I think you know that Guthrie who came out against Epstein and it apparently appeared to have killed her. She obviously did her due diligence and made sure that on her death, like I did at the beginning when I started this, I created a dossier with everything in, just to stop them from actually knocking me off. And she did it well the same, and it's coming out now. And she actually said, now this again is another interesting piece, and people should pay attention, because I've said this all along. If you want your politics back, stop focusing to the paedophilia or acts that we think people have carried out. Consider the fact that they've been set up and then blackmailed. Because that's the problem. It's the blackmailing of these people that's causing this system to keep going. And she said very clearly that Donald Trump was there, but he weren't a dangerous guy. So Donald Trump were never classed as dangerous or worrying to any of the people that were there in Epstein's company. She even said Epstein wasn't really that frightening. It was Ghislaine who was frightening, Obama, who was terrifying, Tom Hanks, and who's that other actor? He were in that All Father Out There or something like that. What's he called? I don't like him. Ocean's 11. I don't like the guy. I can't think of his name. But apparently they were the worst of the worst, and they were all after boys, little boys. So I'm going to put my mic back to where it were, and then I can test that later when I watch it back to. Right. So we've AMG's a cooker. Is a Delia. Oh, that shot up. Right. Oh, God grief, that did shoot up. Pegina says, erect a tent to shelter in at the school if you have to grab a hot flash, tea and sandwiches. Well, if your car's there with you, if it rains, just sit in your car. This has to be done. Otherwise, and this has to be done across the country. And this would be the beginnings of starting our own peoples, bringing back our nation. Because you can't go against this system by going to the system. They're overshadowing England, which is the law. Occupation tells you that's not how it is, unless you consent to it. We have a right to our expected rights and customs. And our rights and customs, once remembered, is England. Not as presented by Graham Moore, but from 1066, to 1688. Okay? It's time for people to really get a grip here and stop watching all these stupid videos of all these shills taking you off who are trying to be famous and trying to come across as, I'm the hero, give me some money. Where are we now? Jane says, if you can get arrested for silent prayer, you could get, yeah. But again, they do this deliberately. Yeah. They do it deliberately to frighten you off, to make you... Most people are scared, and you only have to see something on telly, and that'll stop them doing it. That government say, we've arrested 7,000 people for doing online, and everybody stops. Do I stop? No, I don't stop. If I want to say something, I say it. I don't care. I don't care. Because I'm not listening. I'm not succumbing to the fear that they're presenting to try and stop me. Because I haven't given my power. I don't care if I get arrested. Who gives a fuck? What the fuck do I care? I've been arrested before. I don't give a shit. I'm not scared. And that's the difference, you know? You can't be scared. Now, see, Buddhism, again, is the key. Even the current Buddhism as in its form. And that is the main tenets of Buddhism is that you have to conquer fear. And that when you start to approach that subject matter as a spiritual path to understand, what it's then teaching you is the fact that all fear is based in attachment to things, to people, to your own life. Because that's the ultimate one, isn't it? But when I started this spiritual journey, I started to lose everything. To everybody all outside, he's like, oh my God, he's broken. He's going, what the fuck? Well, that's the thing. You're learning non-attachment is what you're learning. And because as you start breaking the attachment to things, there's no fear to be had. You're not afraid to lose someone. And the ultimate one, of course, is the fear of you losing your life, which in the 90s was probably the worst of the journey, because that's what it were all about. I was treading a path knowing full well that at any minute I could be knocked off, because that's what all the forces at the time were trying to do. For a lot of reasons, which we don't need to go into, because I understand that was just my path, my journey. But obviously I passed with flying colours. But yeah, it's fear. It's to be conquered. And, the cause of all fear is attachment. That's the basic premise of, which is why I know the Dalai Lama is fake. Because in the 90s, I watched him flee Tibet, crying his eyeballs out. So he hadn't conquered fear at all, had he? And he was still attached. It's just little things like that you think, this guy's a fucking wanker. They're all weffed up. They're all playing to weff. There's even Chinese guys out there going, I was part of the Shaolin Temple. And they're giving you good shit, but same. Indian guy going, same. It's like they're covering every fucking part. It's all fucking weff. Shit. Where are we? So, Jane, stop being scared about silent prayer. Just get on with it. Anyway, it's for boys, this. I mean, girls can do it as well. Sisters are doing it. You can do it. But you're not going to be protesting. You're not going to be standing there with placards going, bah, 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 bah. You're just going to be around, watching. And then, if need be. Remember, your interest is your offspring are in there. Governments are acting crazy. They're having lockdown fucking drills and shit. That's enough reason for you to be interested in the safety of your offspring. Is it not? And then we get into law. It's got to start somewhere, chaps. You know what I'm saying? It's got to start somewhere. And as I said, I've done all this. I don't have any offspring at school today to need to do it. But I'm here. If you can get arrested, no. But there's the front and back of school to monitor, absolutely. And the social workers too, yeah. They're a bunch of tossers. They did actually once come round. I don't know why. I don't know why they come round. Oh, God, years ago. Well, they wish they hadn't. They wished the fucking hand, I'll tell you that. I didn't even give them an inch. Like, who the fuck are you? What the fucking hell do you think you're coming? What are you fucking coming at? I wear effing and jeffing, of course, but who are you? What? What power do you have? I mean, this is donkeys years ago. Before I even understood law, it was just my nature. Anyway, they pissed off and never, ever, ever dared show their face again. I think one of my boys had been doing something on one of the neighbours had said something. It was something like that. And I was like, I can't remember what I said, but let's just say they never came back again. Pegina says, grab walkie-talkies to have one at a comic school for someone to... Well, exactly. I mean, this is the thing. You've got to start somewhere. First, get the guys together. Work out a system. You only have to do shifts. I mean, how long are kids at school? Not that long. Maybe you'll have to do two-hour shifts a day for 5 days. But then the more of you there are, the better. But you're getting my drift here. You're doing something. But not only are you just doing something, you're not sat in fucking house watching telly. You're not wanking on porn. And you're not playing PS5. You're doing something. But more importantly, the real important thing is, you're just going to make sure none of this shit can happen. And that's it. Placed them on notice to report any claimed authority over you. Yeah. Legal Services Act 2007, Section 101 provides for the suspension or revocation of a licensed body's authorisation under certain circumstances. Yep. Mew says, late on parade, hello inmates and Sean. Hello Mew. You are late, me old China. You've missed a lot, says Jane. You have indeed. A principal may revoke an agent's authority any time unless the agent holds a secured interest or an explicit binding agreement makes it irrevocable. Thanks, benefactor. Anthony says, righteous anger, bro, as it should be and what it needs to be, absolutely. Treen says, I Sean and all, evening. Treen, you're late as well, you badden. John says, hello, Mew. Yeah. AMG says, yeah. I'm you. I'm on late. Sorry, but I'll watch it later after this. I don't like to miss a thing. Right. Anthony says, yo, brother, Mew Pit, hope you enjoyed your gig. Oh, yeah, Mew's back from a gig in Blackpool with all the punk rockers. Look good on your images, me old China. Just walked in at 10:10. Fantastic 4 days with the old punk rocker who was celebrating Trans Walk Shite. What? A lot of very sad old people and some very lovely people too. An eye-opener. Days with ye old punk rocker who are celebrating trans walk shit. Oh, for God's sake. I don't know. Paul says, Mr. Belter. Alright, Anthony, it's all learning experience, Mew. Take only what makes you stronger and better for the experience. The moon is beautiful tonight, says Mew. I'm not looking. Treen surviving. Sean being on the rant, top form, then has been on Paul must be that reminder that anger is an energy from Bill. The other week, yes. You have indeed. I learned how to paint in primary school. Oh dear. Treen, notice the event taking place in September at Trump's new golf course. Richard Vaube, Chart DeCall and Barbara O'Neill, Seventh-day Adventist. You mean Clive DeCall, Barbara O'Neill, Seventh-day Adventist. Who is Barbara O'Neill? Ah, interesting. Good sermon, Paul. Thanks for that. Paul Charles Fical. Your spelling is terrible, Treen. Trump's new hotel. We're not going to say nothing. Have you been chasing Aggies? You've been chasing Aggies, oh, that's why you're late. Anthony says, it is that, bro, in Aquarius and the cleansing waters that combine in what is known as Summer's constellation cluster of 100 luminaries that are associated with fixing broken things from Gnosis. Now, forget this 8 gate, Lions Gate. It's not till the 23rd. Alright. Because it's not to do with date times, it's to do with when the fucking sun enters. Yeah, it's astrology. So it's the 23rd is the Lions Gate, not as all the fruit bats in the New Age movement would have you believe, 8-8. Alright, so 23rd if you're interested in that stuff. 1600s for 3 nights. 10 penny there, 2. Accomplice of Kerry Madden. She's a tosser who murdered Stephen Yanna's father yet and almost killed them. There's something going on. Do they all know what they are doing or not? Well, Clive de Call, in my book, is not a fucking good egg. There's a huge day school in Crumpsall, Manchester. Huge metal fence around the school. Cameras watching every move of passers-by. So, I mean, what they do to them kids is terrible. Honestly, it really is. You can't see in that school at all from the outside. Yeah, they're turning it in. Yeah, they're going to try and program your kids to fear in the same way that they program the Jewish kids, which turns them into supremacists and are happy to follow the Sabbatean Frankists. Huge police presence in Crumpsall, very tense area of Manchester, you can feel it. Yeah, I go through it quite often. Miss Pigina says, great masculine energy. Go on, girl. I like setting number 2 on the mic. Very Tony Blackman. So setting 2, so that was the second one. Alright, thanks for that, Jane. So is it a deeper one? Okay, that's good. Thank you. So I'll keep that in mind. Sounds girly, says Benefactor. Puff. I don't know. You're dodgy as fuck. They wanted rid of those towers because that area of Kensington is full of the chosen. Oh, is it now? Anthony says second setting is best. Okay, let me have a look. So, second setting was so that would be that one, would it? Just say yeah if it is. Right, okay, so obviously I'll be able to hear it when I play it, might wonder, so thank you for that, James. I'm doing this so that I know which might be better for when I start gobbing off on tunes, you know what I mean? Setting tune says better, says Paul. Thank you, Paul. But I move close to the mic. Okay. So it could be that. Treen says smooth on number 2. Thanks, Treen. Weefy man, my Indian mate told me the Untouchables are called that because they are tanners of buffalo. Yeah, but it's a derogatory term, isn't it? It's not actually it's not a good thing, if I remember rightly. Anthony says masculine energy, but not dismissing that one thing they fear from silent weapons for secret wars is the feminine energy. The balance is key. Masculine and feminine energy synchronicity look nature. Yeah, if females were operating feminine energy and not woman, and the males were acting masculine energy state and not woman, or confused, things would be in balance. We'd be back to where it should be when they couldn't get themselves the little claws into our family units. It's the family units, the power. But girlies don't agree with that anymore. It's toxic to have the male the head of the family. Well, chaps, that's the way it's set in the Bible. And the Bible is the law set out in the kingship system that we're not supposed to be operating under, but they wanted at the time. So again, that's down to us requiring the king system, from which we give all our power away. It all adds up, it all makes sense, and it comes back full circle. You can't get away from it. It's a circle of life. I don't know what that's from. Some Disney shit. Alright then. I truly thought I'd kick fear into touch until I had a spider the size of a Shetland pony in my bedroom this morning. I still have any work to do. That's because you're afraid to spin your own web, Jane. That's what the spider represents, shamanically. Now, I did my mother's garden the other day, and I've been doing nothing but taking spiders out of my car. My car is full of spiders, and so that's my mother. From insisting I take the shit to the tip. So I might have to beat her at some point in the future for that. Where are we going? A tarantula, says Treen. Ooh, well, there you go. Bigger Treen, and it looked at me in a menacing way. Go on, Jane, you big girl. You'll have to give AMG a ring. He'll sort your spider out. Yuli says, hey, on the chat, great show as usual. Carl Jung, The Day the Empath Snapped, is worth a Google. John says, good vid again. Thanks, John, the shaman of the Wise Asylum. And Tree says, I've seen those too. Heard it. Check across my floor. The armless girlies. They won't bite you. They're bigger because it's warmer. It's got warmer. That's why they're bigger. But they won't hurt you. Well, anyway, 2 hours is gone. I think we've done all right tonight. We've got some good points across, and it just needs to be acted on, I would say. Oh, we're just pissing in the wind. But never mind. That's the situation we find ourselves in, unfortunately. Right, thanks for joining, chaps. Thanks for taking part. Mods, thanks for modding. And, have a good week. I hope the weather gets better. And I will say... Where are we? Oh, I can't find it. Till the next time.
electronic engineering.